I've been reading for 15 years, all the LinkedIn posts around Cannes, and it's always like, when are we going to get a seat at the table? Why do advertising agencies always collect our awards? And it's always this, we're the poor cousins of our advertising brethren, or it's sort of like, why don't the CEOs listen to us? Why aren't we sort of, on the board and advising as our sort of marketing people? We always seem to have slight envy with marketing and ad people. Why are we having the same conversations year in, year out? Are we not getting our own message? Are we not drinking our own Kool-Aid? What is happening with our industry? Why are we stuck?
I don't know why we're stuck. I have a couple of theories, but I kind of want to come back to one thing you mentioned early on. I don't know that we're that dynamic. I think we like to call ourselves dynamic, but we are having the same conversations. I was having this conversation with someone the other day. I kind of came of age professionally in the 90s in Washington and in New York. And I remember very well going to my first conference, the first time I was kind of allowed to go out on my own and hear what the grown-ups were talking about. And at that time, I remember thinking, these are really interesting questions. How do you measure PR? What is the value of a reputation? What is the difference between advertising, PR, marketing, and what is integrated communications? I remember even having some clumsy, not very well worded conversations about diversity. How I remember it was a conference in a majority black city in Atlanta, and that everybody in the auditorium was white. So we were having these conversations back in the 90s, and they struck me as interesting then. I think they're still interesting. I think they're still valid, but for some reason they haven't really been answered. We're still having the same conversation, and I'm beginning to suspect that we have these conversations because we don't want to have the harder conversations, the bigger. We don't want to address the bigger questions of what we're doing, why we're doing it, and maybe how we can continue to do it better. So those are the kind of conversations I want to have.